What is up, everyone? Welcome back to GrayDays TV, and today I'm going to be talking about the mysterious disappearance of Tara Calico. Tara Lee Calico was born on February 28th of 1969 to David and Patty Calico in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A gifted student, she began taking college courses at the University of New Mexico's Valencia campus in her senior year, and she majored in psychology. After graduation, she took a job at Belen's First National Bank, where she worked for 11 months before quitting to become a full-time student. Now, by all accounts, Tara was a responsible, kind, organized, and independent teenager. She loved animals, and she actually bought her stepdad a dog for his birthday, which was about 10 days before her disappearance. Tara was also highly athletic. She actually managed her high school track team. She played tennis. And every morning, as long as weather permitted, she took long-distance bike rides. But little did anyone know it would be during one of those early morning bike rides when Tara would disappear. Tara woke up before 9 a.m. on the morning of September 20th, 1988. She laid out her tennis attire and her school books on her bed because she had a match with her boyfriend at 12:30 and she had class at 3:30, and asked her mother Patty to come pick her up if she wasn't back from her early morning bike ride so she wouldn't be late for her tennis match. And because her bike had a flat tire, she took her mother's neon pink 10-speed Huffy with yellow control cables and sidewalls and left. Her route along New Mexico State Road 47 was the same every day, and her mother Patty knew it well because the two actually often traveled that trail together. But her mother had stopped taking that trail after an incident involving a car aggressively following and passing her, which made her a little nervous. And she urged her daughter to carry some form of protection with her, but Tara sort of laughed it off and didn't think that it would be necessary. So the first half of Tara's ride was perfectly normal. She biked 17 miles to the railroad track and then turned around to head home to get ready for her tennis match, which was at 12:30. And at 11:30 a.m., two ranch hands said they saw Tara biking north headed home. But at 11:45, three men traveling home from a hunting trip said they saw something unsettling. They saw Tara on her mom's pink Huffy, but they also saw an off-white pickup truck following closely behind her. They also noted that she had her headphones in, and it seemed as though she didn't know there was a truck following closely behind her. Then another man driving south saw the same car still following an unaware Tara about 4.5 miles away from her home. It was also stated that there seemed to be more than one man inside of the vehicle, and unfortunately that was the last sighting of Tara Calico alive. So later on that afternoon, around 12:05, Patty, Tara's mother, began driving up and down the trail looking for Tara. Thinking her daughter might have been in an accident, she contacted the local hospital, but unfortunately they said there was no one matching Tara's description brought into the hospital. She then enlisted a few of Tara's friends to help look for her, but after they couldn't find any sign of Tara, her mother then contacted the police, and the sheriff immediately suspected foul play. We feel this is an involuntary disappearance. We understand from talking to her parents and friends that this is totally out of character for her to turn up missing. And the next day, about 4 miles from the Rio communities, police found bike tracks that veered off the side of the road and led to a spot 100 yards away. And in that spot, they discovered more tire tracks and a fresh oil slick. And a brief trail of footprints led police to something even more ominous. There they found Tara's Boston cassette tape and the window of Tara's Sony Walkman. And the rest of her Walkman was eventually found 20 miles away on September 24th. And this was near the entrance of the remote JFK campground at the foot of the Manzano Mountains. Or the Manzano Mountains. And that weekend, more than 300 land and air searchers scoured that area to look for any sign of Tara. But unfortunately, nothing else was found, and the effort was scaled back on the 27th. Meanwhile, detectives were following other leads and conducting interviews with people up and down the New Mexico 47, looking for any information on what happened to Tara. They eventually turned up 7 witnesses who saw her, and 5 of those witnesses also saw a suspicious truck following Tara. And at least 4 of those witnesses went under hypnosis to try and get more information, but it gave mixed results. Now, about a month later, on October 25th, Sheriff Romero actually came out and gave his theory on what happened to Tara that day. The sheriff announced that he believed at least 2 men were involved in Tara's abduction based on the witnesses who came forward to say he saw 2 people in the pickup truck at 11:45 a.m. The suspect driver was a 35 to 45-year-old white male with reddish brown hair who was between 5'9" and 6 feet tall and weighed about 190 to 210 pounds. It's believed that he had blue or hazel eyes with deep wrinkles between his eyes and by his temple. The car was white or off-white, mid-50s to early 60s Ford pickup with a camper shell, chrome wheels, oversized tires, and a Ford emblem with crushed red glass letters. It bore New Mexico plates that began with WBY or WBZ and ended with the number 6. And this is actually a lot of information. You would just think with this amount of witnesses and this amount of information that they would be able to track down the person who did this. But with information I'm going to tell you later, it does make sense why maybe even with this much information they weren't able to find or arrest the person who abducted Tara. And with the information given, they did do a sketch. And the sketch actually generated over 100 phone calls and 4 interviews, but it led to no arrests. And Tara's parents, Patty and John, waited and waited for new information, for new details, for new advancements in the case, but sadly, nothing came. Then on June 15th, 1989, nearly 9 months after Tara disappeared, a mysterious Polaroid picture was discovered in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida, nearly 1,500 miles away from where Tara disappeared. The eerie photo showed a teenage girl and a young boy lying on sheets and a pillow, both having duct tape over their mouth and appear to be bound. Now, the woman who found the photo immediately called the police, telling them that a white Toyota van had been parked in the spot just before she got there, and a mustached man in his 30s was driving that vehicle. And police immediately set up a roadblock to try and intercept the vehicle, but unfortunately they weren't able to find the vehicle or the driver in that roadblock. Now, the Polaroid actually gained national attention, and I can say that I've seen this Polaroid picture before, even before I knew about this case. I've seen that picture, and I'm sure a couple of you guys have also seen this photo before. I feel like I've seen it in like a video about the most disturbing pictures ever found or something like that. But I've definitely seen this picture before I've ever heard of this case. So it definitely gained notoriety. It was also shown on America's Most Wanted. And that is when friends of Tara's family saw the photo and contacted her mother and asked her if the girl in this photo could be Tara. And when Patty first saw the photo, she didn't think it was her daughter. But the more she looked at it, the more she did start to believe that that was Tara. And for me, I think this was more of an emotional response of her just wanting it to be Tara than her ever actually believing that it was Tara. Because this photo at least gave her hope that her daughter could be found. Before there was nothing. And then out of nowhere, this photo comes and it sort of looks like your daughter. And it's like, well, it just has to be. You want to believe that it is your daughter. It also helped that the girl in the picture had a discolored streak on her thigh, which was the same scar that Tara had after she got in a car accident. Patty also noticed that there was a book next to the girl in the photo, and the author of that book was actually Tara's favorite author. So again, there is evidence that this could have been Tara. And unfortunately, we'll never know if it is her or not. But the one thing all parties could agree on was that the picture was taken recently. Through research and investigation, they were able to figure out that the Polaroid picture could not have been taken before May of that year because the stock that it was on had not been developed before that time. But beyond that, the authorities had nothing. But the water became even more muddled when the family of missing 9-year-old Michael Henley came forward and said the boy in the picture was their son. Michael had vanished in New Mexico in April of 1988 while on a hunting trip with his father. So when that picture became national news, both families, Tara's and Michael's, began waiting patiently for any more news concerning what happened to their children. But in the end, only one family got answers. And unfortunately, in 1990, Michael Henley's remains were found in New Mexico's Zuni Mountains, which were just 7 miles away from the campsite where he disappeared. And it was later discovered that Michael Henley had died from exposure way before that Polaroid picture was ever taken. And that had to be horrible news for his family. Put yourself in their shoes. They see this picture of their son, And they have hope again. They have hope that he is alive somewhere and that they're going to be able to get him back. And then a year later, they get confirmation that no, in fact, he wasn't in that picture. He actually died after he wandered off. On one hand, they did get closure, but on the other hand, I'm sure that was not the closure they were expecting to get. So that news is absolutely heartbreaking, and I feel so bad for this family. Tara's case, on the other hand, went mostly dormant until September of 2008. And that is when the then sheriff, Rene Rivera, came forward and announced to the public that he knew what happened to Tara 19 years ago. According to him, 4 boys who knew Tara accidentally hit her with their pickup truck while she was biking along New Mexico 47, threw her and her bicycle into the back of their truck, and took her to a gravel pit. And when she threatened to make sure all of them went to prison for what they did, they killed her and disposed of her body and bicycle in an undisclosed junkyard. And apparently it was sort of an open secret that they killed Tara and that their parents actually helped cover it up. But unfortunately, without a body, the sheriff said he wouldn't be able to make an arrest. And of course, this news angered Tara's father, John, who said, "Why would you even make these statements if you weren't planning on arresting someone? It does nothing for the case, and it does nothing to help the family heal for what happened to their daughter." And what made this statement even more interesting is the information found in the case documents later on. Now, apparently, dying man Henry Brown requested an interview with Deputy Frank Mathola that is detailed in the case documents. Brown stated that he had hung out with some troublemaking teens, one of them Lawrence Romero Jr., son of the sheriff, Lawrence Romero Sr. Lawrence Romero Jr. dealt drugs and was also interested in Tara, but she was dating another guy who also happened to sell drugs. So apparently Brown was partying with Lawrence Romero Jr. and his buddies at Lawrence Romero Jr.'s trailer, specifically the makeshift basement under it. Part of the party talk included the sheriff's son and friends talking about how they hit Tara with their truck, then raped and killed her. They then hid her body in bushes, and when the search intensified, moved her under a tarp in the makeshift basement, and then later to a pond. And a man named Donald Dutcher also came forward in 2013 and said one of the other people involved in the actual killing confessed to him about it. And I 100% believe this information. It makes total sense on why there were no arrests after the description of the vehicle and the description of the people driving the vehicle and all the eyewitnesses involved. But if you don't believe in this story, there's also a continuation of the photographs. In 2009, the police chief in Port St. Joe actually received 2 more photographs with a girl that looked like Tara. The first photograph was a blurry photo of the girl who looked like Tara with tape over her mouth, and the second photograph was of a woman loosely bound with her eyes covered sitting next to a man on an Amtrak train, which was dated roughly to February of 1990. And although her mother did think that the first picture was a picture of Tara, she didn't believe that the second picture of the girl on the Amtrak train was Tara. Now, the latest news in Tara's case actually came in 2013 when a task force consisting of 6 federal and local agents reopened the case. But unfortunately, both of Tara's biological parents would not get answers to what happened to their daughter while they were still alive. Tara's biological father died in 2002 after he was mugged leaving a bar, and the muggers actually took his wallet and his heart medicine, and that night when he went to bed he died of a heart attack. And after several strokes, Patty, Tara's mother, passed away in May of 2006. And Tara is actually listed as a survivor in her mother's obituary. And for me, I believe that this case has been solved. Like I mentioned earlier, I do believe that Tara was killed by the sheriff's son and that it was covered up by the sheriff and the other parents involved. But the men who did this and the people who covered it up do have to live with the fact that they did have a part, that they did play a part in Tara's death. And like I said, I believe that it is true. If it's not true, the only other route that has been followed is the pictures. And I feel like the photographs don't really offer any information to help find Tara. To me, it just seems way more likely that they were playing around with her, trying to scare her, and then they accidentally hit her. Maybe because they were angry at her or her boyfriend, they decided to kill her and just hide her body. And they knew they could get away with it because of who their parents were. And hopefully with the new investigation going on, they are able to find concrete evidence that supports this theory, and that everyone involved, if that theory is true, is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And if they're dead, at least their name, and if they have already died, at least they will forever be known as the people who killed Tara Calico. But that is all I have to say about this case. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry for the week-long absence, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And like always, I hope you guys continue to have a great day, great week, great month, great year. And I will catch you next video.